Hello students, welcome to my channel Learning History Made Easy. In today's video, I will be continuing with the cultural consequences of Central Asian contact. Before going into the video, if anyone is seeing the channel for the first time or if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and share it with your friends, and also click the bell button to receive notifications whenever I upload new videos. So without wasting time, let us get into today's video. So as I have told, today's video is a continuation of the cultural of the impact of Central Asian contact. Okay, so first we will see about the Gandhara and Mathura school of art. Okay. This also was an impact or a cultural consequence of the Central Asian contact. Now the foreign princes became enthusiastic patrons of Indian art. So we know that the Central Asian contact or the foreign contact, the foreign princes became enthusiastic, or they were patrons of Indian art and literature, and they displayed the zeal characteristics of new converts. Now the Kushana rulers, especially the Kushana rulers, they brought together masons and other artisans. Okay, masons and other artisans were brought together and they trained in different schools and countries. These masons and artisans were trained in different schools or different schools of arts and countries. These masons and artisans were brought by the Kushanas. Okay, this gave rise, and when these masons and artisans came together into India, this gave rise to several schools of art. Like there were different schools of art which came into being, that is Central Asian School of Art. Okay, then Gandhara School of Art, and also the Mathura School of Art. So all these came as an impact of these contact with the people from outside. Okay, so the Kushanas, they brought together masons and artisans. They were trained in different schools and countries, and this gave rise to several schools of art like Central Asian School of Art, Gandhara School of Art, and Mathura School of Art. So that was a very important cultural consequence. Now Indian craftsmen, so already there were Indian craftsmen here. The Indian craftsmen, they came into contact with Central Asians. Okay, Greeks and Romans. Okay, all these people came into contact with the Indian craftsmen, and this happened especially in the northwestern frontier. Okay, northwestern frontier of India, that is in Gandhara. So the Indian craftsmen here came into contact with Central Asians, Greeks and Romans, and this happened in the northwestern frontier of India in Gandhara. That is why it is called as Gandhara School of Art. Now if you see the Gandhara School of Art, they built beautiful large size images of Buddha. Okay, large size images of Buddha were made in the Gandhara School of Art. They made large size images of Buddha, Bodhisattvas, and also Kushana rulers. Rulers images also were made. Buddha images, Bodhisattvas images, all were made in large size. That was a speciality of Gandhara School of Art. Another speciality, if we see, they depicted scenes from the life of Buddha on stone. Scenes from life of Buddha were depicted on stone. And the Greek influence, we see that there is Greek influence in all these kind of art. The Greek influence is also discernible in the field of temple and palace architecture. In temple construction, palace construction, all these palace architecture, we can see the Greek influence. So that was about the Gandhara school of art. I am not going into detail. I am just telling it as a part of the cultural consequence of Central Asia. Okay. Now Mathura, if you see, Mathura produced beautiful images of Buddha. Images of Buddha. But it was also famous for a headless erect statue of Kanishka, that is Kushana ruler Kanishka, whose name is inscribed in its lower end. So Mathura also was famous for images of Buddha, and it is also famous for a headless erect statue of Kanishka, whose name is inscribed at the lower end. Now in the Mathura school of art, if you see the Mathura school of art, and its products were made of red sandstone. Okay, red sandstone was mainly used in the Mathura school of art, and it was found even outside Mathura. During the same period, beautiful artworks were created. During the same period, artworks were created at several places south of Vindhyas also. Okay, and wonderful Buddhist caves. If you see, there were also wonderful Buddhist caves which were constructed out of rock. Rock cut caves were constructed in Maharashtra. Okay, so images of Buddha, headless erect statue of Kanishka, then in Mathura school of art, red sandstone was mainly used, and artworks were there south of Vindhyas. Buddhist rock-cut caves were found in Maharashtra. Now if you see the places, that is Andhra Pradesh, Amaravati, Andhra Pradesh, Nagarjuna Konda, all these places became great centers of Buddhist art. Okay, all these places became great centers of Buddhist art. So this was how the art was influenced by the Central Asian contact. Now next we will see about the impact on language, literature and learning. Language, literature and learning. Before we go into this topic, let us just go through the points which we have studied till now. Okay. Gandhara and Mathura school of art. The foreign princes became enthusiast patrons of Indian art and literature and displayed the zeal characteristics of new converts. The Kushan Empire brought together masons and other artisans trained in different schools and countries. This gave rise to several schools of art, Central Asian, Gandhara and Mathura. Indian craftsmen came into contact with the Central Asians, Greeks and Romans, especially in the northwestern frontier of India in Gandhara. It is therefore called the Gandhara school of art. They built beautiful large-size images of Buddha, Bodhisattvas and the Kushana rulers. They depicted scenes from the life of the Buddha on stone. The Greek influence is discernible even in the field of temple and palace architecture. The influence of Gandhara art also spread to Mathura, which was primarily a center of indigenous art. Mathura produced beautiful images of Buddha, but it is also famous for the headless erect statue of Kanishka, whose name is inscribed at its lower end. The Mathura school of art flourished in the early centuries of Christian era, and its products made of red sandstone are found even outside Mathura. During the same period, beautiful works of art were created at several places south of Vindhyas. Wonderful Buddhist caves are constructed out of rock in Maharashtra. Andhra Pradesh, Amravati and Nagarjuna became great centers of Buddhist art. So now let us continue with the contribution in language and consequence in language and literature. The Kushanas, so if we'll start with the Kushanas were conscious of the fact that people used various scripts and languages. There were various scripts and languages were used by the people in their dominion and therefore issued coins and inscriptions. So the Kushanas knew that there were various scripts and languages used by the people. So because of that, what the Kushanas did, the Kushanas issued their coins and inscriptions in Greek, Kharoshti and Brahmi script. Why they did this? Because they already know that the people used various scripts and languages in their dominions. So they issued coins and inscriptions in Greek, Kharoshti and Brahmi script. Similarly, they also used Greek, Prakrit and Sanskrit influenced Prakrit and later pure Sanskrit. So Greek, Prakrit and pure Sanskrit were also used by them. The Kushana coins and inscriptions, okay, if you see the coins and inscriptions of the Kushanas, it suggests the commingling and coexistence of different scripts and languages. Coexistence of different scripts and languages. We cannot say that there is a single language used. There is a commingling and coexistence of different scripts and languages like Greek, Kharoshti, Brahmi, Prakrit, Sanskrit. All scripts and languages are seen to be coexisting during this time. So that was the speciality during the Kushana time. Now among the notable Sanskrit scholars, Sanskrit was also used, as we have already said. Among the notable Sanskrit scholars, one of the most important scholar, that is Ashvaghosha. Okay, Ashvaghosha. Then another scholar Vasumitra and Nagarjuna. Ashvaghosha, Vasumitra and Nagarjuna were the notable Sanskrit scholars. Among them, Ashvaghosha, he was famous for his work Buddha Charita. Ashvaghosha was famous for his work Buddha Charita, which is a biography of Buddha, and he also composed Saundarananda. Okay, Saundarananda also was composed by him, which was a fine example of Sanskrit Kavya. So, okay, Ashvaghosha wrote Buddha Charita, which was a biography of Buddha, and also composed Saundarananda, that is a fine example of Sanskrit Kavya. Now, the next scholar, if you see Vasumitra wrote Prajnaparmita was written by Vasumitra. Again, Sutra Shastra and also Mahavibhasa. Okay, so Vasumitra wrote Prajnaparmita, Sutra Shastra and Mahavibhasa. So all these were the important Sanskrit scholars and their works which were composed during Sanskrit scholars and the works which were composed by them. So next we see the development during this time. There was a development of Mahayana Buddhism. We have learned in the last video how the Mahayana form of Buddhism developed during this time. This development of Mahayana form of Buddhism led to the composition of numerous avadanas. Okay, numerous avadanas were composed during this time. Avadanas, that is life, history and teaching. Life, history and teaching. Examples of the books of this genre or this type of books, that is Mahavastu is one example of this type of work, and also Divyavadana. Okay, Mahavastu and Divyavadana are two examples of the examples of the type of books called as avadanas. Okay, so during the development of Mahayana Buddhism, it led to the composition of different avadanas like Mahavastu and Divyavadana. It suggested that Indian theatre owed much to the Greek influence. So it is suggested that Indian theatre, okay, owed much of its influence to the Greek. So next consequence of Central Asian contact is seen on Indian theatre. So Indian theatre also owed much to the Greek influence. So if you see, it is on the Greek model that in the Indian drama, the character of clown, okay, if you see in the Indian drama, the character of clown who is called as Vidushaka, okay, Vidushaka. This is from the Greek influence, or it is on the Greek model that the character of clown or Vidushaka was introduced. Okay, Greek model. It was on the Greek model that this character was introduced. And also the use of curtains, which is called as Yavanika. Yavanika in Sanskrit also is said to have been because of the Greek influence. Okay, so Indian drama character of the clown or Vidushaka, use of curtains, Yavanika, all these show the Greek influence in Indian theatre. So that also can be said as a cultural consequence of the Central Asian contact. However, India's contribution to the development of theatre is undeniable. India has made a long-lasting contribution. Indian contribution to the development of theatre is undeniable. India has made a lot of contribution. Most importantly, Bharatas Natyashastra was an important work on the rhetoric and dramaturgy and marked the entry of full-fledged theatre in India. Bharatas Natyashastra shows the entry of full-fledged theatre in India. So that influence cannot be denied. So it shows the entry of full-fledged theatre in India. So they learned from the Kushanas. Now after this, that is after the influence on theatre, the next topic we are going to see is the influence on science and technology. Science and technology. The Indians learned a lot from the Greeks in the field of astronomy and astrology. Indians have learned a lot from the Greeks. There was a lot of influence of Greeks on astronomy and astrology. Many Greek terms concerning the movement of planets appear in Sanskrit texts. Now, Indian astrology, as I said, was influenced by Greek ideas, and the Greek term horoscope was derived from the Indian Hora Shastra, okay, and Hora Shastra in Sanskrit means astrology, okay. Sanskrit means astrology and horoscope in Greek means astrology. So that shows some kind of an influence from the Greek on Indian astrology. And Indians did not owe anything striking to the Greeks in medicine, botany and chemistry. So there was no influence in the field of medicine, botany and chemistry. If you see those subjects, that is botany, medicine, etc., is in these subjects a major contribution were given by Charaka and Sushruta. The Charaka Samhita, okay, Charaka Samhita, it contains names of numerous plants and herbs from which medicines were prepared. Okay, it contains the names of numerous plants and herbs from which medicines were prepared. So that in that field there is no much influence. That contributions were mainly made by the Indians themselves. So in the field of technology, if you see, finally the Indian seems to have benefited from Central Asian contact. That is, they learned from the Kushanas. From the Kushanas, they learned the art of making leather shoes. Art of making leather shoes was learned by the Indians from the Kushanas, and also the art of making articles of glass. This also was learned from the Kushana. So that was an influence in the field of technology. Now the Kushana coins, if you see, Kushana coins can be seen as an imitation of Roman coins. Kushana coins were an imitation of Roman coins. Now the Indians learned many things from the foreigners, but they never learned them blindly. See, finally you can see that even though Indians learned many things from foreigners, there was influence, but they did not follow them blindly. They adopted the new knowledge in the context of indigenous condition. They adopted the new knowledge, but how did they adopt? They adopted it in the context of indigenous condition, not that they blindly followed. So this is how the Central Asian contact had the cultural consequence on our country. So let us just go through the points, which we have studied. Language, literature and learning. The Kushanas were conscious of the fact that the people used various scripts and languages in their dominions and therefore issued their coins and inscriptions in the Greek, Kharoshti and Brahmi script. Similarly, the use of Greek, Prakrit and Sanskrit influenced Prakrit, and towards the end of the rule pure Sanskrit. Kushana coins and inscriptions suggest the commingling and coexistence of different scripts and languages. Among the notable Sanskrit scholars of this period were Ashvaghosha, Vasumitra and Nagarjuna. Ashvaghosha wrote Buddha Charita, which is a biography of Buddha, and also composed Saundarananda, a fine example of Sanskrit Kavya. Vasumitra wrote Prajnaparmita-Sutra, Shastra and Mahavibhasa. The development of Mahayana Buddhism led to the composition of numerous avadanas, life history and teaching. Examples of important books of this genre were Mahavastu and Divyavadana. It is suggested that Indian theatre owed much to Greek influence. It is on the Greek model that in Indian drama, the character of clown-Vidushaka was introduced and the use of curtain, which is called Yavanika in Sanskrit, was started. However, India's contribution in the development of theatre is undeniable. More importantly, Bharatas Natyashastra was an important work on rhetoric and dramaturgy and marked the entry of full-fledged theatre into India. Science and technology. The Indians learned a lot from the Greeks in the field of astronomy and astrology. Many Greek terms concerning the movement of planets appear in Sanskrit text. Indian astrology was influenced by Greek ideas, and the Greek term horoscope was derived from the term Hora Shastra that denotes astrology in Sanskrit. The Indians did not owe anything striking to the Greeks in medicine, botany and chemistry. These were dealt with by Charaka and Sushruta. The Charaka Samhita contains numerous names of numerous plants and herbs from which drugs were prepared. In the field of technology too, the Indians seem to have benefited from the contact with Central Asians. They learned from the Kushanas the art of making leather shoes and articles of glass. The Kushana coins were an imitation of the Roman coins. The Indians learned many things from the foreigners, but they never followed them blindly. They adopted the new knowledge in the context of the indigenous condition. So all these were the points regarding the cultural consequence of Central Asian contact. So I hope you have understood all the points very clearly. In case of any doubts, you can ask in the comment section. And also, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Your likes and shares will be of a great encouragement for me to make more and more videos. So I hope to see you all soon in the coming video. Thank you for watching.